now, but it also brings us to these developing countries.
Yeah.
And we see these girls that are being married off young, they're not having quality education, and you start to wonder why. What is so different other than the fact of, poverty and whatever else, but it's the culture.
Mm.
And it's what I think we need to realize in the Western world is that in these developing countries, it is an honor shame culture. And it has always been that.
What does that mean?
So women are, in a lot of different ways. So like being a man is honorable.
Mm.
Being a woman, not so much. Like the men are up here, the women are down here. A lot of times if women have daughters, they are shamed. I've read stories upon stories of women being shamed for continuously having daughters. And we're not going to get into the political things of abortion and things like that, but I read this one story where a woman had her second daughter, and as the child is laying asleep on the floor, the mother-in-law then comes in and starts to pour paraffin over the new mom and lights a match to light her on fire because it was so shameful for her to have a daughter and not provide her husband a son, because the education isn't there for them to understand that the gender of a child is not determined by the woman.
Yeah.
What
was that story? What culture was that in? Or what region of the world was that? Africa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's, as a dad of a daughter.
Yeah.
It's horrific to even think of that. And it is hard to even really grasp because we live in a Western culture where, there's no shame for us if you have a boy or girl. Like we love both, but understanding, like you mentioned, in the developing world, it's not like that everywhere else in the world. If in some countries, like you said, if you have a girl, it's shameful. So what are the other effects in the developing world with gender equality and some of the things you found?
We could get into all the different things. With education, so most of these communities, these villages are poverty stricken.
Mm-hmm.
And although it costs money to go to school, if a family doesn't have enough money, they will choose to send the boy over the girl. When a girl does go to school, it takes away from her duties in the house of helping take care of siblings, helping bring home money because maybe they're selling in the village or collecting clean water for their families. Like, it's a huge sacrifice, not only financially, but also for the entire community, sometimes that family, for a girl to go to school. And when a girl does go to school, some of the other ramifications in this honor shame culture is that then they aren't married off, which a lot of times there is. And I think this was your topic, and we can get into it. Like, when a girl is married off, that's almost honorable for her family because then they have one less mouth to feed. But also if they do have daughters, the other reason it's very shameful is because they also have to pay a dowry when they marry off their daughters, and they can't afford it.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope.
No, I was really shocked diving into this and the child marriage deal. I didn't realize it was as big as it really is. So every day, this is according to UNICEF, every day there are 33,000 girls. Well, there's two numbers, 33 to 39,000 girls every day. Young girls under the age of 18 get married. So we're talking like 1 or 2 every second that children, are married off. So that's globally, that's 14.2 million every single year. That's massive. So young girls being married off. I think you brought up some of the challenges. Like, it's a complex issue because not living in those cultures, we don't understand some of the nuances of some of the honor shame culture, the dowries, all those type of things affect it. But we do know when a young girl gets married early, the effects are, number one, she's unlikely to go to school anymore because now she's considered, a wife, and she has these gender stereotypes of what she must cook and clean and have children. So that blocks her opportunity to be employed or gain vocational skills. And child brides are more likely to succumb or be susceptible to violence and sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because she is not empowered then to make decisions for herself. I read an awesome quote by the General Secretary of the YWCA. She said this. Her name is, I'll butcher her name if I try to say it, but it's like Nayad Zari. And she said, child marriage is a huge problem in poor communities. Early marriage and child marriage robs the future. Mm-hmm. Girls lose the opportunity for education. They lose the opportunity to choose their partner, and they must live with that pain for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And it's a complex issue. I get it. But that's why we talk about education. And that's why as one of the topics we're talking about is, look, if you can get a girl in school and allow her to access number one, get a good primary education, and secondly, move on to high school education, it not only empowers her, but it empowers a nation.
Yeah. Well, it increases their economic standing, their GDP, if you will.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about like gender equality, or like the differences between Western and Eastern cultures, and child marriage and education.